Today we're going to be using the Samyang 85mm F1.4 AF for the Canon mirrorless series. Hello and welcome to my video about the Samyang 85 AF RF F1.4 for the Canon RF mirrorless series. And I'm going to show you both the straight-to-camera versions as well as my edits, and in a variety of different settings that I would find myself in on either a wedding day or potentially a portrait shoot. The 85mm focal length is probably my favorite focal length, both for portraits as well as wedding photography. I find that I can pretty much shoot an entire day on an 85. I love that, for instance, in this room, that there's a lot of things that I kind of want to minimize, and if I can make those all disappear in depth of field, I am super happy to do that rather than going around and cleaning up the room when you don't really have control over the environments you're ending up in. I would say also, from my introverted self, the 85mm focal length gets me a little bit closer, at least optically, than I don't have to physically walk there. If I was shooting everything on a 35, sure, the images would be great. I'd feel like I was a little bit more part of the scene, but it's just a little bit uncomfortable for me, especially when I just arrive at a wedding day and all of a sudden, like, hi, I'm Taylor with the camera. I'm here to take your pictures. You can imagine how that's a little awkward for probably the people more so on the other side of the camera, but also me as somebody that doesn't really want to be up in everyone's face. The 85mm lens is also my choice for engagement sessions, as well as just any time that I'm out with people and I need to be photographing people. I find that by using one lens, you're forced to stay a little bit more present in the scene. I used to hide behind gear. I would be changing lenses and talking about my gear and choices, and my clients and couples, they don't care about that. And if anything, that creates some sort of disconnect between us. Whereas if I'm just with one lens, I know what that lens can do. I know what that frame is going to look like as soon as I hold the camera up to my face. And I think that I shoot a better session and a more real to life and real to the people in the photo session with one lens than I would if I would bring a whole rolly case full of equipment and lighting and everything like that. Ahoy there. Let's talk about the Samyang 85 1.4. My friend Sam Hurd told me to get this lens, and I was like, nah, dude, I'm gonna get the Canon RF F2 instead. And I will say that it is still a fantastic lens. If you're a photo/video shooter, I probably would still recommend the 85 F2 that Canon's made for RF, simply because, well, one, as a wedding shooter, it doubles as a macro. This doesn't quite get close enough to be a proper macro. The Canon 85, definite macro, and also comes with IS in, well, I guess if you have an R6, in the body as well as in the lens. So you have that double stacked image stabilization. So if you want to be shooting 85 handheld like we do at a lot of weddings for video specifically, that is kind of, I would still say, the best solution. If you are way more on the photography side, or on the photography side maybe doing a little bit of video every now and then, but potentially not really using something like an 85 for video, I would be recommending this Samyang 85 1.4. This lens, for me, feels a lot like my 85 for Nikon. The 85 1.4G, I would say, is my favorite 85mm lens of all time. And this gets really, really close to that look and feel. The straight out of camera images, they feel very, very similar. The lens does have an overall characteristic and feeling that I really do love. And it does feel a little bit weird to recommend a Samyang lens as the main lens for your wedding day. But I would say maybe with the growth and the progression of third-party manufacturers, such as the Sigma Art series, it was kind of the first one to be like, wow, this is as good, if not better in a lot of cases, than what Canon is making for Canon. And then I would say the same about Tamron as well. That 35 1.4 is probably one of the best 35s that exist. And now with Samyang putting this 85 1.4 out, well, I guess it's been out for a little while now. I'm not the first one to ever have this lens, but it is a piece of glass that I would be 100% happy using as a main lens on a wedding day. Get this lens. If you're watching this review and you need an 85 and you don't want to jump to the 1.2, maybe we'll close off on that. So this versus the 1.2, I shot the Canon RF 85 1.2 most of last season, and I prefer this lens in every way to it. Straight up, like, I prefer the images from it, which is very crazy to say. I prefer the fact that it costs, I don't even know how much less, like 1/4 the cost of that 85. I prefer the weight, the balance, the feeling. Yeah, so all things considered, I would recommend this over the 1.2 RF. So yeah, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. See you again next time. Hit the like button if you like the video. And that's all. Great lens. Good job, Samyang. Shout out Korea.